This is Comic Geek Speak, episode 1784, Previews.
Laser beams, opinions like the seasons on everything you read in comics, movies, games, toys, artists, comic geek speak, comic geek speak, comic geek speak, comic geek speak, comic geek, uniting the world's mightiest heroes. This is.
I'm Shane Kelly.
I'm Adam Murdo.
I'm Ian Levinstein.
I'm Chris Eberly.
We are back, and it's previews time!
Yes. Got the whole band back together again.
Howdy, howdy, howdy. And it is nice to talk about comics.
Sure is, gentlemen. I love when Shane starts to do that and get unhinged. It's fantastic.
Oh, yeah. And we had a couple people very, very happy to see a return to the world of toys on the last episode.
Yeah, that was very nice. I had some people reach out to me through Messenger and such as well, and said that they enjoyed it. So that was nice, and I really appreciated it. It was fun, and it may come back now and then, especially as this G.I. Joe line grows.
Oh my God,
buggers!
Shane, don't let it add to your stress levels, though.
Oh, there's no stress. There's my frustration that I was out.
like I said pre-show, just when you thought you were out, they pulled you back in.
For 15 years, I was out.
Shane, I want to get one of those Cobra Troopers. So.
Oh my God, they are so hard to get. No, well, so the one that I just showed you is hard to get because that's the Target Cobra Island one. But the rumor mill has it that at this Hasbro Con thing coming in a week or two, they're going to announce another wave of Joe figures, and another trooper is going to be part of that, which I'm hoping that's the case. You can get a couple extras and put them around Destro and Commander and whatever, but that's what I'm hoping.
Well, they got to milk that demographic while still alive.
Well, this and this trooper, the figure itself is outstanding. It's one of the best figures I have ever had in my entire life. The way they've accessorized it and what you can do with it, it's amazing.
Fantastic.
All right.
And this is previews number 384 of the previews catalog, and I believe it's issue 4 of DC Connect or something like that. It's
issue. Oh, it might.
I think it is.
Is it issue 4?
I think it is issue 4. Yeah,
I'm looking right at it. It's issue 4.
Well, there you go. And it's Marvel's whatever. Who cares? And as usual with most previews catalogs, we shall begin with Image, and its first offering, gentlemen, has me very, very intrigued.
Fire away, my friend. Fire away.
That's on page 30. Crossover number 1, written by Donny Cates, so you got me there. And then the art by Jeff Shaw and D. Cunniff, or Canafe, or something along those lines. It's the creators behind God Country, Thanos Wins, and Redneck. And it's a comic about imagine everything you thought was fantasy was real. And now join us in a world where reality is dead and anything is possible. So in.
Great concept. Ian, I have a question. As I'm looking at some of the sample pages.
Yep.
So I see Captain Marvel.
You see someone who looks like Captain Marvel, and you see someone who looks like the.
Well, that's what I thought too.
Are they slightly off to avoid copyright infringement?
Yes. Also, he's firing energy blasts from his hands, which we all know Captain Marvel can't do. But it's analog.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
and that's nearly the Atom there too.
Oh, definitely. So. Yeah, and it looks like Blizzard as well on that page, or a version of him. So yeah, they're certainly drawing from inspiration here, and from these preview pages, it looks like it's going to be absolutely my type of comic.
Right. We look forward to your field report, my friend.
Heck yeah. Yep.
Yep. I'm I'm pretty psyched too, Ian. Just look at the cover logo there. You can see in the negative space 3 circles in a row, kind of like the chain of Earths on the cover of a certain 1985 maxi series, with which we're all familiar. So that tripped my attention immediately. Plus, yeah, like you said, Donny Cates. He's proved multiple times by now that he can tell. He can do high stakes storytelling on a cosmic level.
Yep.
And he's playing with the whole meta text idea. That this goes beyond simple meta narrative. This is meta-mageddon he's playing with here. What if fiction were a cosmic virus that spilled over into our real world? Even Earth Prime isn't safe. Yeah. This I'm with you, and this is my meat as well.
Heck yeah.
You know, if there's anyone who could turn a discussion about metatextual comics into pillow talk, it'd be Murd.
Can't,
I hope one day to prove you're right, Chris.
The lights go low.
of course, one of the reasons why he can do that is because there's probably comics under his pillow.
God, I missed you, fellas. All right, I gotta gush, of course, about page 39.
Of course.
I'm reading Monstrous in trade, and actually, I'm waiting. It's going to come in some forthcoming shipment, the latest trade. And this is a 2-part filler would be the wrong word. As I say, it's bridging the gap between the 5th and 6th arc, and they're going to say that the book's going to resume in January of next year. Yeah. So this book, Ian introduced me to this book last year. I was very late to the party, but one of the most breathtaking comics I've read in recent years. So I'm very excited about this. Anything that this team does in this universe, I'm all over it. Yep.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's nice to see some side stories in the universe. Yep. So that's it. Should be good fun. Page 41, the trade for 20XX, which I believe I nominated as my best one shot or single issue of this past year, as the first issue had just come out in time to be nominated as such. And this collects the first 6 issues of the series. Although it looks like they may have given up on the first trades being way cheaper, because this is $17.99.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. I'm not sure if this is... I mean, maybe this is the only 6 issues that are coming out for now, and maybe that's why it's full price. But not used to seeing an expensive collection like that from Image Comics to start things off.
That was a nice catch there, my friend.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yep.
We can jump back. I'm just jumping ahead, and I went to the S's, and there's no Saga.
And someday. Yeah.
And I'm patient because it's worth the wait. But obviously, I'll be God knows what kind of ass I'm going to make out of myself verbally when that does appear when we're doing the previous episode.
I think we might have to actually pause the entire episode from the amount of that'll come from that, because that's I think it'll be you, it'll be me, it'll be like half the listeners. It's going to be a lot.
Just gleeful caterwauling and so forth.
Absolutely.
Yep. What else we got for Image?
Opposite the 20XX trade that Ian mentioned, we've got 7 to Eternity number 14. It's on page 40, and that is the return of this ongoing series by Rick Remender, with a new story arc called The Springs of Jal. Rick Remender's been pretty busy this couple of months here, with the launch of The Scumbag coming up in October, and now this previous Image title of his coming back the next month. So
it's nice to
read this series, bud?
I know I bought the first arc or so. I'm not sure. Yes, eventually, very eventually. We'll hear more about that from me.
Worth the wait, my friend.
Yep. And then page 43, since we do tend to mention Kieran Gillen when he's got new stuff, this is the trade paperback of the Ludocrats. Kieran Gillen and Jim Rosenthal, with art by Jeff Stokely and Tamra Bonvillain, which, again, I do not think is her actual real last name, but I still love it every single time I hear it, because she's an actual real-life Bond villain. This collects the first 5 issues of the series, and it's all about defending reality from the encroaching forces of boredom while having a nice time.
Picture the 5th dimension on a lot of crack. And I don't mean the 60s vocal pop group either. I mean the Mixes Pitlix's home.
Yeah, I figured.
You guys got anything before page 53?
I do not.
I do not.
Murd?
I do not either.
Okay. I'll just bring up in passing the conclusion of the first story arc, which means there's a trade coming, which means I get to read it, of the follow-up series to Chew, which can also be pronounced as Chew, but spelled C-H-U. John Layman with art by Dan Boltwood concludes the first arc, which is called The First Course, fittingly enough, of the new Chew series.
All right. I read on page 59, I read the first issue of Jason Aaron's follow-up to his miniseries, and with Armaguerra, The God Damn, which takes place in biblical times, very, very Old Testament. Like right shortly after Adam and Eve, and then Cain and Abel, and it was superb. It was incredibly brutal. And this is the follower, the first issue. It explores deeply disturbing, but extremely well done. At least the first issue. I think it's Aaron. But about a tribe of where young girls are prepared to be offered to this deity you never see, where they're supposed to, once they have they go through their first cycle, so to speak, they menstruate the first time, they're offered up to this deity no one sees, and it's how two of these young girls explore what's really going on and the horrors that they uncover. It's sort of like an early version of, don't look at the man behind the curtain and what's really going on beneath the false veneer of something. So I recommend that.
All right. Anything else in Image?
I don't have any more for Image myself, no.
Nope.
Then I guess we go to Dark Horse, and their gem of the month, and this is a Stranger Things comic that I will probably pick up. It's on page 72, Stranger Things and Dungeons & Dragons, number 1 of 4, written by Jody Hauser and Jim Zub. And Jim Zub, anything Dungeons & Dragons immediately catches my eye, as he's done some great D&D stuff in the past, and I've got to see him perform some of it as well. Following the crew from Hawkins, Indiana, as they discovered the legendary monsters and epic adventures of Dungeons & Dragons tabletop role-playing game together, long before the Demogorgon took one of them to the Upside Down. Mike, Lucas, and Will bond with Justin for the first time over the game that would define their childhood. Can't get more 80s than that.
Nope. And Ian, look at that variant cover. Talk about late 70s or 80s, that classic Dungeons & Dragons box top image.
Oh,
gosh.
I love it. Yep. David Michael Beck drew that variant cover, and whew, I'm not much of a variant cover guy, but that is fantastic.
On page 78, has anybody watched the show Witcher?
I have not yet. I want to.
Henry Cavill's in that, isn't he?
Yes,
he is.
Yep.
Okay. It looks interesting.
Yeah, I've heard positive things. I just haven't actually gotten to it yet on my pile of shows that I still have to watch.
I'll point out on page 80, because again, it's anything involving Black Hammer needs to be noted immediately. So they've been gradually giving the various members of that world the miniseries, and now they're going to focus on the Barbalian, who essentially is like almost like a Martian Manhunter analog. Again, I say this periodically whenever we talk about Black Hammer, but if you love Golden Age superheroes, but you also want to see sort of a deconstruction of them and just looking at them through a very edgy lens, this is one of the best comic books being produced today. And the offshoots I've read have all been great. I haven't read all of them, like also Colonel Weird. I haven't read that yet. That's coming out as a trade. This is Jeff Lemire just at the top of his form. And on the next page, I've mentioned this before too. If you really love your 80s grim and gritty, then you will have to read Skull Digger and Skeleton Boy, because it's exploring the classic motif of the brutal vigilante will take life, right, a la the Punisher and so forth, vigilante from DC, etc. But it also explores what happens when a person like this actually takes in a kid as a sidekick, and how is that going to impact the sort of the mental well-being of the sidekick. It's tremendous. I can't recommend this miniseries enough.
Very cool.
Anybody read X-Ray Robot #1? I have it, but I haven't read it yet. On page 84.
Yeah, I'm afraid I too have it.
No.
I've not read it.
Looks
We'll
cool,
give a field
though.
report on that down the road.
How about the very next page? Mignola and Adam Hughes.
Wow.
Yep. Hellboy
Wow.
and the BPRD, the Seven Wives Club, a one-shot.
Look at that cover.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's $5 that I would spend right there. That is some gorgeous looking art for a one-shot.
So Adam Hughes, I mean, I know we all enjoy his work. In terms of actual interior comics, his body work isn't that big, correct?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, he's worked on. I think he did Wonder Woman for quite some time back in the day. But he's mostly worked on
Covers, right?
yeah, covers and pinups. That's his bag. Yeah.
And every once in a while, he dips back into the world of interiors, though. I remember that Betty and Veronica series he was going to do for Archie, which I don't think got much past the first issue.
Yeah.
I mean, I think back to when he did the Long Shot. I think he did the Long Shot miniseries, the one that Innocenti wrote, the original one, if I remember correctly. And I want to say he did some of the X-Men New Mutants Asgard stuff in the 80s.
I'm trying to remember
Which, I remember that correctly, is beautiful.
what he did with the Justice League back in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, too. I thought he did some interiors for that.
You're probably right.
Longshot was Art Adams, wasn't it?
Yes.
Oh, you're right, Murd. Thank you. That's my fault. You're right. I mixed them up. It is Art Adams. And I think, you know what? Art Adams did the X-Men Asgard stuff. I totally mixed up their names. My age is showing more and more.
He was made the regular artist on Justice League America with issue 31, I believe.
I was just trying to find it. I was at 37 going backwards.
Yeah, so he did that back in the day, but yeah, has not done a lot of interior work over the past couple of years. Mainly exteriors and pinups, and gorgeous pinups at that for the most part.
Oh yeah. Page 90, 47 Ronin, which of course is a classic. It has some, apparently is rooted to some degree in Japanese field history, but it also has a real mythic element to it. And this is a version being told by Mike Richardson and Stan Sakai. So,
Yeah, there's
wow.
got to be some weight to that.
Yep.
Let's see. Oh, that's it for Dark Horse, looks like. Unless somebody else want to show out.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't really have any puzzles that I want to point out because that's the next couple of pages. I guess we're over to DC.
It is.
All right.
Now, the other history of the DC universe, wasn't this originally supposed to come out like way pre-pandemic?
Oh,
I thought so, yeah.
First announced nearly 3 years ago.
Was it that? Okay, wow.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. It was sitting in a can, and there were a lot of people that made guesses as to why that was the case, but either way, whether it be that it wasn't finished or that they decided to rewrite it or rework it, the other history of the DC Universe #1 is finally going to come out. And here's hoping it actually comes out in full.
Yeah.
I'm really intrigued by it. So,
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, that's on page 4, by the way, of the DC Connect catalog. Does anybody care about Punchline?
No.
I'm trying and failing.
Yeah. I kind of feel like they're forcing another Harley Quinn.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, and Harley Quinn happened pretty organically. You know, she started in Batman the Animated Series and became popular there, and then she made her way over into comics, and then they gave her an ongoing series, and then she became popular. You can't just pull things out of thin air when it comes to new characters like this, and I kind of feel like, other than the Joker War, really not much has been said for this character, so this Punchline special better sell her very well.
So Murd, what are your feelings on these multiverse stories?
Well, I'm planning to pick up a couple of them. There was a trio of them a couple of previews catalogs ago that I think I pre-ordered. in entirety. But the ones that we're seeing here, I'm starting to feel a little overkill, frankly.
I would agree with that as well.
The Dark Multiverse is not my favorite multiverse.
I do think that of these new ones, the one that will catch my eye and probably get
Page
rid
12?
at some point is page 12. You got it. Yep.
Yep, I knew it.
Yeah. Because I mean, written and drawn by Brian Hitch.
Yep.
You know, it could be crap on a cracker, as Shane puts it, and I'd probably give it at least a look. And that's what we have here with Tales from the Multiverse Flashpoint #1. So that should be good.
On page 15, we have more of the death metal. I've never read any of these stories, actually.
I read the original Metal, and I did enjoy it. I don't know if I was clamoring for a follow-up exactly.
Yeah.
But Snyder sells. He definitely does. I'll give him that. Like, he's, most things that Snyder writes are at least, legible. And I think
that's a low bar.
Well, I'm saying
well, at least you can read it.
Yeah.
Yes, penmanship counts.
Exactly. I mean, what I mean by that is that I very rarely read a Scott Snyder comic that I've disliked. And there's a lot of crossovers that come out where I just sort of look at them and scoff, and I'm like, whatever, and I keep moving. But he's pretty consistent, and especially with Capullo on art, it's going to be worth a look.
Now, Shane, I'm thinking of you on page 19 of Justice League 56, part of the death metal crossover.
Mm-hmm.
Martian Manhunter alone against the Mindhunter.
Yeah. I mean, I like seeing Martian Manhunter featured in anything. I don't think he gets enough accolades these days as he once did.
Great
So anytime he gets to take center stage, I'm all for it.
And plus, it's written by a favorite scribe of Ian's, which is Joshua Williamson.
Yes, indeed. Yep.
Shane, are you still reading the monthly Justice League book?
I am 3 months behind, though, so that's like 6 issues now. Some of that was just how the issues were shipped and how I got them in my shipments. I got like 2 in 1 month and then 4 in the next one or something like that. It was very, very unbalanced. So now that I have a few, I'll sit down and read them all. But I am. Yep, absolutely.
I feel like things were off kilter if you weren't. It's a relief to hear that.
It's the Justice Leagues. It's Young Justice for another issue. It's Legion of Superheroes and some of this Dark Multiverse, Strange Adventures, and that's really all I order. I haven't ordered anything else in a long time.
Strange Adventures is sensational. Huh.
Yeah. But all the monthly books, just like Marvel did, where they kept reinventing their universe over and over and over again. I'm kind of drained of that with DC, and as they keep redoing everything, I need a good starting point, or what I'm really trying to do is also just read the tons of back issues I've never read, All-Star Squadron, Infinity Inc., that kind of stuff. Things that I am really more interested in than some of the current offerings. It's just
Shane, perhaps you should sign up for Hitch on the Time Bubble and join Murd for an episode or two.
Yeah.
Always open to guest co-pilots.
Yeah.
I
enjoyed it the first time around.
Yep.
Ian, now I've never read Sweet Tooth.
Neither have I. But I've always
getting a Netflix series.
Yes, it is, and I've always heard such good things about it. And
it's Jeff Lemire.
Exactly. Yeah, and now here it is returning just in time to be a Netflix series. I'm sure there's no coincidence on that whatsoever. But
right.
If it gets Lemire to go back to Sweet Tooth, then I'm sure it's going to be well worth it. Because look at that art.
Yeah.
So beautifully put together.
It is gorgeous.
Yeah.
The way his sensibility for storytelling is really top flight.
Oh, definitely. Especially since you don't always see Lemire on art, and I feel like sometimes I forget just how good a draftsman he can be.
Yeah, like just looking at this page, the way he's telling the story, it is. Oof.
Yeah. Yep.
Man commands a page.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about commanding. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ian. I mean to cut you off.
No. Please go right ahead.
I mean, Shane and I were just talking because they had the director's cut of Strange Adventures issue 1, and I just got 4 and 5 of my shipment. I haven't read them yet, but
yep.
this is what's amazing about this story is that, and it's just what Tom King just does so well. He takes an existing concept, a character that has been around for decades, and then, without disrespecting the history, turns the character on his or her head and forces the reader to look at the character not just from one perspective, but also from multiple perspectives. And the vehicle for this is perfect because it's about Adam Strange having dealt with a war with another civilization that was against Iran, and the consequences of that, and how we're seeing it from different perspectives now. They're his perspective, his wife's perspective, but then there's the perspective that may lead you to think, is he a war criminal? And it's kind of like if you read Julius Caesar's commentaries, like he's writing about his exploits fighting the Gauls, and it's amazing, but you know that, okay, this is his version. Like, what do the Gauls think? And,
yeah, right.
This is a great book. Shane, are you up current on it?
No, I have the same that you have to read, and I think one more issue. I think I only read the first two.
It's already running for miniseries of the year. It's amazing.
Well, and in a lot of ways, with what Tom King has written, I really feel like in some ways he's living the dream that we all thought about, and probably still do it at certain times, about writing characters the way we want and putting our own print. I mean, I know all writers do that, but there's something about some of the things he's written that make me feel like he's having more fun with it than some other writers, or he has less influence from the big wigs about what direction he has more free reign. I don't know. It's just the way it comes across to me. He's having more fun with it.
Well, I think you're right, because he's proven his abilities, and again, because they're letting him work with characters who are not, like the huge,
right,
franchise type iconic characters. I mean, his Batman run was amazing. But I mean, the whole thing with Catwoman at the end. I mean, and how they ended the book and so forth. I won't pretend to know what editorial's role was in that, but I'm sure with these other characters like Vision and Mr. Miracle, which was amazing. It's not like they're making movies with these characters.
Yeah.
So, Vision, they're making a TV show, but I couldn't agree more. I mean, when you have a writer this good, who, and I think you're right, who's this, because we know Tom, he's been on our show multiple times, and is this excited about the material, let him go, right? And you're getting indelible work here.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm not saying other writers don't do the same thing. I'm sure they do. There's just something about these characters, the ones you've mentioned, Chris, that it exudes fun to me.
And for that matter, looking at page 27, right? He's doing a Rorschach miniseries.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to jump back to page 17 real quick, because I took a look at who's actually on this particular Dark Knights Death Metal the Multiverse crossover, like one shot, and it's The Multiverse Who Laughs #1, and Patton Oswalt wrote a story for this issue, which I wonder if I'm not sure if this is his first comics work or not, but
it is not actually. He wrote something called JLA Welcome to the Working Week back in the 2000s sometime.
Got it. Okay, cool. But,
he's a big fan.
Oh, definitely. Yep. Yeah, he's a huge fan of comic books, and this issue in particular looks like it's going to be a more comedic take on the dark multiverse. And with Amanda Conner and Jimmy Palmiotti and Snyder and James Tynion IV and Joshua Williamson all on the writers card, along with Patton Oswalt. That might be one of the few one shots of this that I will pick up outside of the previous that I mentioned with Brian Hitch.
Yeah.
Ian, are you reading? I'm jumping ahead a bit here. Are you reading the Bendis Superman books?
Very behind, but I've liked what I've read so far.
Because I haven't read any of them. I remember Deemer was raving about them when he was on the show a while back.
Yep.
I do like them as well. I've read a lot of them, but as the series have progressed, I've fallen off to get ones that interest me. If like I know Kevin McGuire was on for a little while, a couple issues, so I grabbed those and read them. They're good. I was reading everything at first and just fell off from getting absolutely all of it, but they were good.
it's a momentous run at this point, just because he's been on it as long as he has so far, and it doesn't look like he's leaving it anytime soon, whether it be action or the main Superman book. So at least he gets to tell the story that he wants to tell. I'm
looking on page 35. I've always been a Aquaman fan, always rooting for Aquaman, and I've loved some of the. I mean, New 52 forward, I think he's been one of the strongest titles overall. Mm-hmm. And I haven't read the Kelly Sue DeConnick run yet, but the very compelling cover. I love the Mara Arthur, their whole romance, their whole story. From what I read, it looks like this is the last issue of her run.
Yes, and I think of the series for now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know a bunch of different series from DC are concluding in this previews, and I'm going to have one to talk about soon that breaks my heart, but it's another one of those that's falling to the wayside for now, but I'm sure there'll be another one in a few months, especially just in time for whatever Aquaman movie winds up coming out next. I guarantee you there'll be an Aquaman series on the shelf for it.
Right.
Well, the Aquaman movie made $1 billion, didn't it?
It did, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Shane, you still reading Batman Beyond?
Only picked up the last couple issues because Booster Gold's been in it.
Ah.
And he's in this one too, so I'll pick it up.
Ooh,
and ones that I've missed, I want to go onto the DC app and read those at some point. Yeah. I have them all marked.
So
what else, gentlemen?
Page 39. Now that I know what this series is about, I'm even further intrigued because Batman: The Adventures Continue, number 6. Batman's clash with Jason Todd continues as he hunts for information on his former boy Wonder. And, officially introducing Red Hood into Batman: The Animated Series continuity. One, I don't know where they're going to fit it. But two, why not? Because it's become such a huge part of the comics at this point. It makes sense to introduce them one way or the other. It just means now that I have no reason to finish the fan fiction that I wrote years ago, where I introduced Jason Todd into it. So that I could just go ahead and close my fanfiction.net account and never look back on it because they beat me to it because it took me 15 freaking years.
Well, I'd still like to read that, Ian, but I like how they brought Ty Templeton back for art on this.
Yep.
Yeah.
That variant cover by Kara Andrews. Oh,
gorgeous.
Look at that.
Yep.
Wow.
Absolutely gorgeous.
And they're reprinting the original Batman Animated Adventures comic here as well on page 40.
Yep.
What else we got here? I have to admit, I'm not reading a lot of monthly DC books right now myself.
Well, there are fewer to read, unfortunately.
Yeah. I'm a little behind, but I'm still getting the Green Lantern. Season 2, number 9 comes out on page 47.
Yep.
Actually, and jumping back for a minute, Shane, on page 45. So, Ian, I know you're a big fan of Williamson's run. Mm-hmm. And now we have a new writer, Kevin Shinnick, I believe it is.
Yep.
Are you going to stay with the title?
I'm going to give it a shot, definitely, especially with Dr. Alchemy involved. Yeah, I mean, there's that's a strong start for Shinnick one way or the other, and it's Clayton Henry on art, so it's bound to be pretty pages.
And Shane mentioned that the Green Lantern, that cover for issue 9. Mm-hmm. Talk about capturing the essence of 1980s Green Lantern.
Oh yeah.
That is amazing. What a great cover.
So good.
Excellent. Takes us straight back to the 60s, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd go back further than the 80s.
You know what, Murd, you're right. Yeah. Especially when I look at Hal Jordan and just the way he's carrying himself there, his face. No, you're right. I stand corrected. It is more Silver Age.
Yeah. And then the very next page, on page 48, another final issue. Hawkman concludes with issue 29.
This is a series I have to get in trade because I've heard nothing but good things about it.
They couldn't give it 30. They couldn't just
right.
they couldn't just
2.5
give it
years.
one more. Yeah, come on, please.
He gets bitter about things like this. Now, Ian, you read the first arc of this, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, because I love Hawkman, and I haven't read this series. I'm going to get the trades because I've heard from you and from other people online that this is supposed to be superb.
Yep.
So
I would agree with that.
what else we got here?
Page 52 has Justice League Dark number 28, the final issue.
Oh, let me do it for pants. 52. Okay.
Yeah, hard to believe that book was around as long as it was, too.
Well, I won't disagree with that. Yeah. I mean, I haven't read all of it, but I am surprised that it did stick around as long as it did.
Yep. Got Ryan Sook on art for Legion of Superheroes number 11 with Bendis. And yet again, variant cover game is strong this month.
Look
because
at Nicholas Scott. Oh, great artist.
So good. So good.
Yeah. Wow.
When I first looked through this issue, I read through that, and I read it as Legion of Superheroes number 1, and I immediately got angry and thought, why are we rebooting again? And then I calmed myself down and actually looked through my glasses and saw, oh, wait, no, it's 11.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to trigger rage, Shane, just talk about rebooting, and you'll be good to go.
Didn't we just start that? Oh, wait, that's 11. Okay, we're good.
How great is the Looney Tunes cover on page 55?
Oh, yeah. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Oh, one more thing about the Legion of Superheroes solicitation. So they're just straight up making Mon-El a Kryptonian from the looks of it. Because I see here for 1,000 years the capital city of Kandor, home to the hero known as Mon-El, has become a beacon of hope across the universe. So either he wound up in Kandor, or they're just go ahead and getting rid of the Daxamites entirely and making them Kryptonian. I hope they're not. I hope not
too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's make that 3 of us.
Yeah. But I guess I'll have to read to find out.
Jumping ahead, I didn't realize, I'm looking on page 59, Red Hood 51, that Sean Martinborough was writing this. He's an artist I've always admired. He did some fantastic Batman work. Was it the early 2000s? On Detective Comics, he did some fabulous Ra's al Ghul Talia stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He actually came to one of the Wild Pig conventions I did. He came to it for a little bit. Very nice guy, but terrific artist. I didn't know he was writing as well.
Well, it's a new development, Chris. After the previous writer, Scott Lobdell, was kind of hustled off in disgrace.
Yep.
Oh, what happened with Scott?
What usually happens with writers or creators these days? Everybody 100% found out he was a scumbag.
I understand. Okay.
But also, I mean, to be even further blunt about it, his good friend Bob Harris is no longer editor in chief. So that may have had a little bit to do with it as well.
May have, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's see, guys, what else you got?
Well, I'll mention
Suicide Squad on page 11 is ending as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Not page 11, issue 11 on page 61.
Yeah.
And Ian, is Young Justice 20 the last issue or no?
I was getting there. Yep.
So you must be wrathful about this.
I'm pissed. Yep. I'm pissed. Especially since from what I've heard, sales haven't even been that bad for Young Justice. And I almost feel like it's the odd man out. I don't know whether or not they're, just getting rid of that imprint in general of Wonder Comics. Perhaps, just bending Naomi into, DC proper 100% and not leaving her off to the side. But this hurts. It does. I'm glad it got 20 issues. I'm glad it got to tell, a somewhat full story, but I know for a fact there was more story to tell, because there's no way you spend that long on a multiversal span and then end it this soon afterwards. So I'm hoping it comes back in one form or another, but it could have been that Bendis just couldn't, do it anymore. With all the other books that he's writing, and I know that David F. Walker has been co-writing it him for at least the last couple of issues. So here's hoping it comes back soon.
I also wonder if Bendis wasn't writing it, and it's just not going the way he wanted it to completely, and he's just like, they want me to end it, I'll end it and be done with it too. So I don't know.
No, yeah,
because you have Suicide Squad, Teen Titans, this all with all the other ones that are ending. This is the big month for so many of these series to end.
Yeah, and especially since Tim's back in the Robin costume already. So like,
Yeah.
that was an experiment that lasted maybe 4 issues or 5 issues, and he's back. He's back as Robin again. He's not Drake anymore, which never made any sense to begin with. But
No, it.
oh, boy,
If it might be nostalgic, gentlemen, I'm looking on page, I think it's 66. The Amazing World of Superman, the tabloid edition. Murd, E. Nelson Bridwell.
Yes.
This is a tablet I've seen many times at conventions or at IDES in Pittsburgh. It's a classic reprint edition, reprinting key moments from Superman's early history. And as it says, it includes a giant map of Krypton. So it's a classic reprint edition they're putting in its original size. It says here in a hardcover. So if you're a Superman fan, this is a gem.
all right. I can go down to page 68, and DC through the 80s, the End of Eras hardcover, written and illustrated by Various. Cover by Kurt Swan. It's the the famous Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow cover, and Murphy Anderson. But what's in it doesn't matter to me as much as the extra material that's in it. As for the very first time, DC Comics is going to be publishing.
Oh wow! Look at this.
The proposal for Twilight. Which was going to be Twilight of the Superheroes, the unpublished, unrealized, epic crossover that Alan Moore had proposed.
Boy, Alan Moore's probably pissed about this.
Oh, you ain't kidding. But it's been online for years. It's been published in multiple different places. I think of all people, Rich Johnston actually got a hold of the proposal back in the early 2000s and published it in full. On the web, and now here is DC going back into their archives and publishing it in one of their books in full, so we can sort of see what could have been with the Twilight proposal.
All right. Oh, on page 74, it's good to see Art and Franco.
Mm-hmm.
Tiny Titans Beast trade paperback. So it's reprinting. Tiny Titans was so much fun. It's great.
Yes,
for
it
kids.
was.
Yeah.
Great for kids.
Yep.
They're a wonderful, wonderful creative team. They came to our last Super Show, actually.
Yeah. Yes, they thought they were being abducted to an abandoned warehouse outside of Reading, Pennsylvania. And they weren't too far wrong.
Exactly.
No.
Anything else for DC?
I don't think so. Oh, well, you know what?
No, I don't think so.
I'll bring up on page 80 just because I see it, and oh my God, is it something to behold. What a sculpt of Batman by Mike Mignola, sculpted by Jonathan Matthews. I mean, it's pitch perfect, and I love when Mignola draws Batman.
Wow.
Yeah, his artwork is not the easiest thing to render in 3 dimensions, but
no, it's not.
He nailed it.
Amazing.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Beautiful.
Ian, good pick.
All right.
All right, IDW.
IDW it is.
Look at page 103.
The ongoing.
If anyone can take on Sandman, it's Joe Hill, boy. That's exciting.
Yep.
Has everybody here read Lock and Key?
Just the first few issues. Did we do it for something?
We did a book of the month on it at one point.
Yeah, we did a book.
Yeah.
I read the first volume, whatever it is. It was tremendous. And Ryan told me that the Netflix. Is it Netflix it's on?
Yes.
He said the series was very good on Netflix too.
Yep. It was episode 1594, by the way. Book of the Month Club, Lock and Key, Volume 1, from not too long ago, 2016, March 1st, 2016.
See, we were just about to be overrun, and then Ian used his signal skills to call in the airstrike. That was... All right, what else we got for IDW?
Well, I'm not going to read it, but I just love looking at the cover yet again. Francesco Francavilla on the cover for Star Wars Adventure number 3.
Great artist.
Ooh,
God.
boy. Damn fine artwork.
Yepers.
The series I have to get back. I have to read eventually. Is Star Trek Year 5, just because the covers alone are amazing on it.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, I haven't read any of that either.
By the way, Ian, look at the great cover for TMNT number 111 on page 109.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's Jody Nishijima on that cover, and it's just fun, chibi Ninja Turtles action.
Old friend of the show, Fred Van Lente, working with Ryan Dunleavy on page 135, the comic book history of animation number 1. On page 135.
I see that they're doing a Star Trek Voyager miniseries.
Yes.
Yeah, Seven's Reckoning.
Yep, on page 111, yet another beautifully rendered cover by Angel Hernandez there. But
And go ahead, Ian. I'm sorry.
no, I'm just it's nice to see yet another series of Star Trek getting its miniseries action on, because we've had some Deep Space Nine stuff lately.
And I was going to say this for the comic talk, but it's a perfect way to transition to for here. I was telling Shane off the air. I just read 2 IDW Star Trek comics that were both fantastic. The aforementioned DS9 miniseries, the first 2 issues, which is a whodunit, where Odo is the main character, and it takes place during the Dominion War. Shane,
Nice.
Oh, wow, nice.
they nail every character. It's like watching the show. And I just got in my shipment. I was gushing about this when I first saw it previous months ago. It's a Star Trek one-shot. J.M. DeMatteis is writing. The concept, what if Khan woke up in the mirror universe?
I just got that in my shipment as well. I have to read it.
Is that Hell's Mirror, the Hell's Mirror one shot?
Yes. I mean, I've always been a huge DeMatteis fan. I haven't read anything by him in a while. Wow.
Yeah, I'm not that big into Star Trek, as you guys know, but his name is what sold me on actually ordering that one shot.
Oh, terrific. I look forward to your guys' opinion because, and Shane and I are big Star Trek fans. If you love Khan and you love the Mirror Universe, like those two things wedded together, wrten by J.M. DeMatteis,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a classic Star Trek comic. It's so good. So check that out.
I could jump ahead to page 127.
I'm there with you.
All right. So not only do we get a new Marvel Action Spider-Man for kids, which is always a fun thing to see, Sarah Grayley and Steph Perennis on writer and Philip Murphy on art, and a very cool new design for Spider-Man on the cover that's both classic and new at the same time. But right beneath it, Marvel Action, Avengers Off the Clock by the one and only Katie Cook. Yep. And Butch Mappa on art and cover. It's Katie Cook getting to write Squirrel Girl. Enough said.
Plus, Thor and Ant-Man go antiquing. Yeah. Katie was really excited about that Squirrel Girl story because it has Squirrel Girl and Cap fighting Paste Pot Pete, who's a character that he always wanted to use. So,
Gotta respect they're not calling the Trapster, they're actually calling him Paste Pot Pete, right back to the Silver Age.
Amazing.
I'm done with IDW. What about you guys? What else you got?
I think that's it for IDW for me.
Same
Me
here.
too.
Yep.
All right, Marvel.
Okay.
Moving right along.
Marvel tis. And they're back. And the Eternals will, quote-unquote, never die and never win, but they get to be written by Kieran Gillen and drawn by Esad Ribic, so I think they win. That oh my God. What a team to return the Eternals to the Marvel Universe. And I think the actual solicitation is much further down, so I'll get to it more when we actually get there.
It's page 18.
Yeah, page 18, but screw it. I'm just going straight to it.
Go to
It's just I've been a fan of the Eternals for a while. I've only ever read bits and pieces of it, but I did read the full Neil Gaiman miniseries from a couple years back,
Wait, have you read the Kirby Bronze Age stuff?
I've read a little bit of it. Not a lot of it, but a little bit of it. And I feel like this is just going to be like return to norm on the Eternals, and with art like this, oh my god, this is a classic waiting to happen.
Yeah. When is the release date for the movie? Have they given a date for that?
I don't think so yet.
I think there's one set, but everything's nebulous.
Yeah.
I just want to see Kit Harington as the Black Knight, man.
Oh, obviously. Yeah. Let's see. Eternals is currently set for 2021, February of 2021.
Okay.
But that date can very well change.
Yeah. Everything's fluid right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They just pushed Wonder Woman back again.
Heard that.
Christmas.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
Christmas now. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. So that's even longer to wait on that, and I'm not even sure when Black Widow is supposed to be coming out, but
No, I can't remember the last time I heard a hard date for that either.
yeah. But I wouldn't be shocked if that gets pushed back too while we're at it.
Yeah. Last I'd heard was like the beginning of November.
Yeah.
Couple things I'm going to shout out because my time is running low here for myself, but I'm just jumping ahead a bit, actually quite a bit. But on page 50, I've really been a fan of the Marvel Snapshots books they've been doing, where they kind of go back to certain eras of Marvel history and focus on just moments with the character and the people he's affecting and so forth. So we've got Barb. Is it Kessel or Kiesel? I always forget. Forgive me.
Kiesel.
Kiesel. Thanks, Murd. With Kurt Busiek, focusing on the Michelini Byrne Perez Avengers era. Wow. That's enough. Very excited about that. And all the other thing I wanted to point out, a couple cool things. First of all, Power Pack coming back on page 54.
Nice.
Written by Ryan North, art by Nico Leon. Cover by Ryan Stegman.
And this is a classic looking Power Pack from the looks of
Yeah,
it.
it looks like.
Yep.
And the other thing that really jones me here. Page 59. God. Symbiote Spider-Man, King in Black 1, Peter David.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the characters in this. Black Knight, Uatu, Kang, Rocket Raccoon. I don't even care what this is about beyond this. This looks so fun. God.
Speaking of Kang, did I just read where they've cast somebody to play Kang
You sure
in an
as heck
upcoming Marvel
did.
movie?
Yep. You sure as
Really?
heck did. Yep. Kang is going to be played by Jonathan Majors of Lovecraft Country. And he's going to appear in the Ant-Man movie that's going to be coming out.
Wow.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see how they handle Kang in the tone of the Ant-Man films.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Kang is one of like the great, really dangerous Marvel villains.
Like ruthless and
Yeah, and he's almost on a
evil.
Doctor. Well, he basically is Doctor Doom, essentially from the future.
Yes.
So
Right.
yeah.
I wonder if they're going to make him more comedic or
Well,
that'll be interesting.
here are my two questions. One, does that also mean we get a Mortis? Because that would be interesting. And two, this could very well be setting up Young Avengers.
Ooh, good point, Ian.
Yep.
Really good.
Yeah. So
That's exciting.
I would love that to happen.
That story, Children's Crusade, what a classic.
Beautiful. Yep.
Just myself, I don't have a lot more to say for Marvel because a lot of the stuff is ongoing, as we've talked about many times in the past.
Was there anything else?
Well,
Go ahead.
The only thing that I have that not surprised me, but something that I didn't expect is Thor #9, the return of Donald Blake. To be honest, I kind of forgot Donald Blake existed because it's been so long.
Yeah.
Yep, so did everybody else.
I was like, oh, Donald Blake, what? Oh.
But you know, when they use Donald Blake effectively, like, oh God, I can't believe the brain farted. The great writer did Thor. Shane, you and I love his run.
Simonson?
No, well, not.
Aaron?
No, well.
Oh, yeah.
In between them, the Spider-Man
Yeah.
writer
Yeah.
on 5. People are shouting into their iPods right now.
Oh boy.
Yep.
I can't believe I just forgot his name.
Oh,
He was
it
a
was
huge
when he brought Asgard to Earth as
One
an
of my
island
favorites.
floating.
Oh, J. Michael Straczynski.
Yeah.
Michael Straczynski.
Thank you.
God.
Yeah,
Ugh.
you're right. I do love that run. Loki's a woman.
Yep.
He used Donald Blake very effectively.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Just completely forgot about him.
He also
That was like a painful bodily function. Jesus.
well he also
Yeah, I
he,
totally blanked on that too, Chris.
he also had Thor as that doctor character as well, correct?
No, that's the Jurgens run.
That's the
you're thinking
Jurgens
of.
run, okay.
Yeah, that was also very
Jake
good. That's when he was an EMT.
Yep.
Right, Jake Olsen was the name.
Got
Yeah,
it.
that was good. That was well too. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I had plenty of other things to mention in Marvel, but since both you and Shane have time short, was there anything else you guys wanted to cover in the rest of the book before you have to exit out?
Actually, before we even do that,
ahead.
Chris, I would like for you to do yourself a favor and turn to page 37 of the Marvel previews.
All right,
Okay.
Murd. Anticipatory,
Okay.
because Murd knows me well. So, you know what, Murd? I blew by this when I first read the book because I don't really much of a U.S. agent fan.
Mm-hmm.
But it's being written by Christopher Priest.
Don't see how you can pass it up, Chris. I know I won't.
Murd, you just he put ammunition to the foxhole. We survived. God.
Mm-hmm. But that-
Just imagine Priest taking on a character like U.S. Agent. I can only imagine how good this is going to be.
And it may also be my first U.S. agent costume that I 100% like, because it's close to his old one, but it's a little bit of a tweak. Giving him the jeans and a little bit of a different cowl than he had before, and it looks perfect.
Yeah, this. Oh, Murd, thank you so much. I totally missed this.
Fresh bucket of shells for you, Sarge.
Thanks, brother. American Zealot, chapter 1 of 5.
Excellent.
All right.
Just in
Priest.
time for him to be in the Bucky Falcon series.
Yep.
When is that coming out?
Sometime.
Yeah, it was originally supposed to be later this year, but I believe they had to push it back due to the pandemic. So it'll be.
Was it a film?
No, it's a miniseries.
Show. Yeah, it's a miniseries.
Yep.
No. I mean, wasn't it already produced? Like,
I don't think they got all of it done.
Yeah.
At least
all right.
I didn't hear that.
They were in the middle of the process. They were filming it overseas, and then they thought they'd be able to pick it back up, and they wound up not being able to. So I think they still have a little bit left to do.
Okay. Well, I'm really looking forward to that. Ian, thanks for giving Shane and I a chance here to just shout out a few things
Yeah, not
before
a
we
problem.
return to our obligations.
Mm-hmm.
Page 204 by Terry Moore, Ever, The Way Out, original graphic novel.
That's where it's going.
Yep.
I
saw
wanted
that and
to
went,
was first OGN.
I think so. I can't recall anything other than issues of series.
Ever is a savvy 17-year-old when she meets Timothy, a sophisticated charmer. Oh, that never goes good. Who soon reveals she will fulfill an ancient prophecy on her next birthday when Ever realizes Timothy is a fallen angel and destined to be human sacrifice at the gates of darkness. She runs. Okay, it's Terry Moore doing a story like that. Come on.
Sure.
Wait for this.
I had on page 370 up in brand new Yen Press manga, bottom left-hand corner, Star Wars Rebels Volume 1, modeled after the cartoon.
Oh, well.
So I'm quite curious about that because I absolutely adore that show.
It's tremendous. I'm going to put on page 202. If you're a Marvel Bronze Age fan, this is essential. Roy Thomas writing, Marvel Value Stamps, A Visual History, a hardcover. Anyone who's Marvel Bronze Age, the 20-cent covers, 25-cent covers, they had this promotion where, usually in the bullpen bulletins page or sometimes the letters page, they'd have a stamp. And you could cut them out, and then, you could get, I think you could even get a book that you could paste them in. And, they had characters, mainline iconic characters, more esoteric characters. And I remember when my years as a retailer, when you bought key Bronze Age books, you had to check them to make sure the stamp was intact. Because if it was cut out, the value of the book plummeted right away.
Oh, sure.
But this was such a fun promotional idea they did during the Bronze Age. That's a book that I probably get a kick out of. The other thing I wanted to point out, this was very interesting on page 214. I tend to like some of the stuff that Aftershock produces. Red Atlantis #1. Stephanie Phillips writing, Robert Carey artist. So sort of exploring, sort of a new Cold War type motif. A series of unexplained violent crimes on Election Day. God, that might be too close to reality. I hope not. Leads the FBI to zero in on a covert group of Russian terrorists. So that sounds interesting. She wrote Busher of Paris. I read the first issue of that, which is based on a bit of history of Nazi-occupied Paris I wasn't familiar with, which was apparently a serial killer that was running amok. The first issue I really enjoyed. I have to get back to it, but I might give this a shot as well. The other thing I wanted to point out, Shane, if you want to jump in there, please. I'm sorry to mean to monopolize.
No, I had my 2 picks, and that's all about all I had for the rest of the book.
A couple of the quick things. So page 260. When I started to explore independent comics, in like my late teens, late 20s, I discovered Peter Bagg's Hate. And if you haven't read Hate, if you enjoy the sordid side of things, especially when it comes to that particular type of fanboy who, you don't mind to talk to them a bit at the con, but you don't want to interact with them ever again outside of that, this is a book you really got to read. The art perfectly captures just the world of this character. I want to say his first name was it Buddy? I'm trying to remember now. But the way he portrays this guy's just like drifting through his life. He has no real goals or aspirations, and there's all kinds of cynicism and bitterness. It's a lot of people you've kind of met in your 20s, and like the way like the images of like Buddy like hooking up with girls, and the art is so unflattering. Like the way most of us would actually look if someone actually walked in us having sex. This is a great book. I can't recommend it enough. It's got a certain sensibility. Don't read it if you like a really whitewashed view of like your past and your youth and some of the people you dealt with. But fantastic book. Can't recommend it enough. And I also wanted to point out, thought of you here, Shane. On page 310, the James Bond archives. Apparently, this is like Eon Productions opened their archives to editor Paul Duncan. He spent 2 years researching the James Bond archives. This is the most complete account of the making of the entire series, covering every James Bond film made. $200 retail. I bet it's a beautiful book.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it is.
I know you're a Bond fan, as am I, and I can't wait for the next film.
Oh yeah, it does look good.
And the last thing
I'm
I want
curious to see how they tie it into the previous 3.
Yep. I'm really excited for it. Last thing I want to point out is page 321. So back issue 124. You'd appreciate this.
Uh-huh.
They're looking at muck monsters. Man thing on the cover, that's enough. A creeper, Atlas Seaboard creatures, Danny Ketch Ghost Rider. Definitely picking up that. And below that, a great retrospective on one of the great artists of the 70s and 80s, Mike Grell. Life is Drawing Without an Eraser. Tremendous artist. I think of Green Arrow. Think of
yeah, absolutely.
So that's my 2 cents, gentlemen. I apologize. I got to run to do some family stuff.
Yeah, not a problem.
Yeah.
Yep.
I am in the same boat tonight.
Well, happy to have both of you on as long as we did, and that you got to give in your picks.
Brethren, I leave all of this, of course, in your more than capable hands, and we'll all talk very soon.
Sounds like a plan, sir. And as always, Vaya con Rios.
Take care, gentlemen. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, guys.
Same for me. Take care. Have a good night, and thanks a lot, guys.
All right. Good night, Shane.
Good night.
Okie dokies. And just like that, it's just the 2 of us.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Lacing up my boots for that long march, Ian.
All righty. Well, how about we shoot back to the beginning of the Marvel previews and talk a little bit about Wolverine, Black, White, and Blood. Number 1 of 4.
Oh, yes. That's so 90s, it couldn't even have been published in the 90s. It's too 90s for the 90s.
Exactly. It just needs to have the word extreme in it, and then I think it would be 100% 90s.
For real.
Yeah. Jerry Duggan, Declan Shelvey, and Matthew Rosenberg all on writing duties for this. And the art by Adam Kubert, Declan Shelvey, and Joshua Cassara. Looking at the interior pages that they shared here, this would have been a Max book a couple of years ago, definitely.
Right.
Because my oh my, is this violent as heck, but it is stunningly beautiful. And I may have to track this baby down. I think I may actually wind up getting this digitally before it's even available on Unlimited, because with art like that and storytellers like that, I don't mind a extra bloody Wolverine story every now and then, and this looks right up my alley.
Yep, if there's any character that can do bloodbaths tastefully, It's got to be Wolverine. And anybody who was a fan of the artistic stylings of DC's Batman Black and White a few years ago, and who was also a fan of Wolverine and would like to see him get the same treatment, I mean, this is it. So,
oh, absolutely.
It's commendable. I agree. These preview pages are pretty.
Yep, and he's on a deep cover spy mission with Nick Fury in at least one of the stories being told. And that's first off, my question is, which Nick Fury? It looks like it looks like it's the original recipe and not the extra crispy one. So I think I think we might be going back in time with this one, and I'm A-okay with that.
Yep, as am I. Yep, I can see his eye patch and the hair on his head in that one trade. So yeah, I think you're right. It is Nick Fury Sr. we're looking at here.
Excellent. Yep, looking forward to it. And then we got more X-Men right underneath that with Hickman and Mahmoud Asrar and Lionel Francis Yu. The Lovers, a Garden, a Chasm of Secrets. It's Apocalypse, and there's a lot of skulls.
And one heck of a big sword slung on his shoulder.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Associating with Apocalypse, I knew it wasn't going to last very long. So I think this might be the end of the of him siding with the X-Men, because he is Apocalypse after all.
He is, yes. He does not play well with others that he considers weaker than himself.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm just glad that there are going to be some mutants who don't follow the party line. There will still be mutant villains in Hickman's reimagined X-Men universe.
Exactly. Yep. Alrighty, and the rest of the X books this month are pretty standard with a bunch of swords and what have you. So I think I can go ahead and skip down past that. And let's see. I'm still not used to seeing Cable looking that young and not being the Age of Apocalypse version of Cable.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That really does not. That should be Nate Gray, if anything.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like they de-aged him just so they could use the Nate Gray look on Cable. But then we do have X of Swords Destruction #1, which looks like it'll be the conclusion of the X of Swords arc, with Teenie Howard and Jonathan Hickman on writing duties, and Pepe Larraz on art and cover. Concluding that Swords action this month, and then, like we mentioned, Eternals after that.
Right. Enough said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, next thing I had to mention is all the way up on page 42. Which is really nothing new, but it's a resolicit of a couple of projects that Marvel had first solicited, well, I guess right around the time this whole pandemic mess began, and scheduled for release around the time that the Black Widow movie was originally supposed to hit theaters. But now they're back on the slate. It's the first issue of a Taskmaster miniseries, one of my favorite Marvel villains, written by Jed MacKay, who's been writing that Black Cat ongoing series that I've been liking, and art by Alessandro Vitti. And above that, Widowmakers, Red Guardian, and Yelena Belova, number 1, written by Devin K. Grayson, art by Michelle Bandini. I was planning to buy both of these several months ago, and I'm still planning to do it now.
Very nice, yeah. We're actually kind of nearing the end of resolicitations. I feel like I think we're almost entirely caught up on things that were solicited in previews pre-pandemic to what we are now. So hopefully this is where the way we will continue.
Yep, it would be great to get entirely back on track now.
Exactly.
For those of you following along at home, to identify things that are being resolicited in this Marvel Previews catalog, look for the red string of characters. Like, for example, Widowmakers, the FEB 200834 or 835. That was the original solicitation code for the first time this was offered.
Got it. Well played, Murd. Well played. I will jump back up to page 30. To point out Marvel's Voices, Indigenous Voices, number 1. Marvel celebrates Indigenous history with a star-studded special. Today's hottest Native American and Indigenous talent make their Marvel Comics debut with a collection of supercharged stories as Marvel celebrates National Native American Heritage Month. Celebrated writer and artist Jeffrey Varej explores the legacy of Marvel's incredible cast of indigenous characters. Hugo Nebula and Locust Award-winning Black/OK Owinge writer Rebecca Rowanhorse and Tonga artist Weshayo Alvitre tell an echo tale like you'd never seen before. And then we get a whole bunch of other stories as well with indigenous characters and indigenous creators. So I think, and one of them is going to be Donnie Moonstar for that matter. So
yep, there she is, front and center.
Mm-hmm. So very, very cool. I like to see Marvel doing things like this. It's very, very nice to see voices that wouldn't otherwise get the time of day actually getting the time of day. And who knows? Maybe they'll have more to do at Marvel after this.
Hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Scrolling past Ultraman's butt, is very prominent on page 41. Issue 2 of Werewolf by Night and Hellstrom Marvel Tales number 1 are on there, and then. A facsimile edition this month. So if you want to pay $4 for a facsimile edition to either put on your wall or have in your collection, they're reissuing Avengers number 57, Behold the Vision, written by Roy Thomas and penciled by the well-known John Buscema. So that's pretty cool.
Yep, and also X-Men number 4, first appearance of Magneto's Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, including the Scarlet Witch. Vision and Scarlet Witch. You see a pattern there?
Gee, I wonder why. Just like I wonder why U.S. Agent is suddenly getting a comic again. You know, it's all kismet, baby. It's all kismet. Again, that Power Pack miniseries by Ryan North and Nico Leone, as mentioned by Chris. And then issue 40 of Immortal Hulk with a She-Hulk Phoenix variant by Torrin Clark. Never thought I'd see that in ever.
Yeah, there it is.
Yep. Page 55, by the way.
Yep. Honestly, nowhere near as cool as the actual cover.
Agreed. And Chris pointed out the symbiote Spider-Man Kingdom Black. As we've mentioned before, this is not Peter David's first run with the symbiote Spider-Man, as he's kind of doing an Untold Tales of Spider-Man-esque scenario with symbiote Spider-Man, just telling tales in between other Spider-Man stories that have not been told before.
Right. This time landing us in what is to us the 80s during Spider-Man's first black suit period.
Mm-hmm.
This one just happens to tie into an upcoming Venom-centric crossover, King in Black.
which I have to say, King in Black. And that they're reprinting a whole bunch of issues for $1 a piece as part of King in Black, including the King in Black Gamma's Flight Doc Samson #1, which reprints Incredible Hulk #141, which means Doc Samson's going to be involved somehow, which makes me happy. And then Avengers #48 is getting reprinted. Fantastic Four #52. Avengers 83. I believe, I don't know if this is the first appearance of Beta Ray Bill, but it's Thor #337 with that amazing Beta Ray Bill cover on it.
I kind of think that is his first appearance, actually.
Got it. And of course, Incredible Hulk #449 with our beloved Thunderbolts.
Yes, justice like lightning.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then the next page has some even more with a couple of Venom and Iron Man and Amazing Spider-Man issues and Fantastic Four issues that are being reprinted as the Invisible Girl fights alone for the life of her son. Childhood's end.
Burn, baby. Burn.
You know it. The fourth issue of Mark Waid's Fantastic Four miniseries with Neil Adams comes out this month. Fantastic Four Antithesis, #4. Solicited this month, that is. So Waid concludes that. And then on the very next page, Fantastic Four #26 with Dan Slott and R.B. Silva. Still waiting to see what these new Fantastic Four costumes look like, because if those are the new Fantastic Four costumes on the cover, they're not that much different.
Yeah, pretty similar. But that's okay.
Exactly. Yep. Why mess with a classic?
Absolutely.
Could have given them pockets and belts.
No, that train has sailed.
Ah, damn it.
I seem to recall there were some spikes involved, too.
Oh, no. Malice. No. Unfortunately, that was right around the time I started reading Fantastic Four. I think you're in the same boat as me, but...
yes, exactly the same boat.
Yeah, that was not great. Nope.
Yeah, but we didn't know any better.
Exactly.
Oh, you gotta love the covers. On pages 76 and 77, a couple of great Star Wars-related images.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's... let's see, the first cover... Is that a Michael Golden? Yeah, that is a Michael Golden. Well, the variant is. Main cover by Carlo Pagulayan? One of these days I'll pronounce a name right.
I'm guessing Pagulian, but your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, you're probably closer. And then Raphael Yanko on 77 does the art, and Daniel Acuna does the cover.
Talented gentleman he is.
Yes, he is.
And also a pretty good image of some well-known bounty hunters on page 78 there by Lee Bermejo.
Yep. Speaking of bounty hunters, Mandalorian Season 2's trailer came out, and hot damn am I looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of these days I'll see the first season. But in the meantime, I'll content myself with staring at the nutcracker of Baby Yoda that we're selling at the Christmas shop right now.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's just as good, right?
Oh yeah, sure. Why not? All right, I'm on the trades.
Yep, I'm with you.
Okay, we got a trade of Conan the Barbarian, the original Marvel years, with a excellent hardcover image by Alex Ross as the main cover. Then there's a more traditional Conan cover as the direct market edition. But yeah, this collects Conan the Barbarian number 116 to 149, an annual from 1973, number 6 through 9, and Conan of the Isles from 1988, and of course, what would it be without a What If issue in there? As you get What If number 39.
I don't think they did that many of those with Conan, so yeah, that's worthy of inclusion.
Yep, definitely. And then, if Chris had time, he would have brought this up, and of course he would have went Mad Bomb.
Yeah, it's kind of a toss-up as to whether he would have chosen to shout it or whisper it, but he definitely would have done something dramatic with that title.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. And that's on page 84. We brought it up not too long ago as our 1776 episode, but this concludes the entire Mad Bomb saga of Captain America by Jack Kirby in one giant omnibus hardcover.
And so, among other treasures, it does feature the first appearance of the Captain America of the Revolutionary War, who was the focus of the aforementioned episode 1776.
Absolutely.
Oh, really getting the dirt of the 90s under our fingernails here on page 85.
So many jackets.
So many pockets containing nothing.
Oh, boy. Yep, the Gathering omnibus. Oh, the Gathering. I'm just going to continue to say it. Did we really need the Gathering?
No. The bottom line is we did not.
Yeah. But it does have some Steve Epting art in there, as well as Andy Kubert and John Romita Jr. and Jim Chung and Dave Ross, most of which at the beginning of their careers, John Romita Jr. in the middle of his career, and so on and so forth. And,
yeah, some legitimately talented people, both as writers and artists, did contribute to this thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's so much less than the sum of its parts.
Yes. Nicieza, Lobdell, Ben Robb, who I liked for a while, and then he wrote some very bad Green Lantern issues, and I didn't like him anymore. And,
that did it.
Yeah, Bob Harris and a bunch of other people. And they have the second, speaking of the 90s, the second of the Jim Lee, Chris Claremont omnibuy of Omnibus is, I know, of Volume 2 there of X-Men. Page 91, Marvel Portfolio, Peach Momoko. Japanese sensation Peach Momoko has wowed comic book collectors with beautifully rendered variant covers that leap off the shelves, and here's a collection of all of them.
12 in all. It's 12 pages for $50, although it is outsized. It's 10 and 5/8 inches by 14 and 7/8 inches.
Yeah, thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah. But it's in a stunning hardcover case.
Oh, ooh, okay, wait, on second thought, fine, I'll spend the $50. And then how about that next page, Murd?
Oh, yes. Yes, always happy to see this material back in print in any form. Of course, it is a hardcover, and of course, I already own all the issues, so this is not something I need to buy, but I'm happy to see it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Ohatmu returns yet again in a deluxe omnibus hardcover. Multiple covers to choose from as well. There's a direct mark cover with the symbiote Spider-Man on it, and then for everybody else, you get She-Hulk and some Alpha Flight and Scarlet Witch and Sandman and Kitty Pryde and a bunch of others.
Yeah. It's all by John Byrne. Just which part of the alphabet you prefer. It's all up to you.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So this is the deluxe edition, which is the second volume of the official handbook from the mid-'80s, as opposed to the first volume from the early '80s, which is what I recorded for my Mohatmu series.
Yep.
So these it was a later volume, much more information packed into those pages, lots of tiny print at which to squint. Yeah, it's for the reference geek. If you don't already have the issues as I do, by all means, get this for your shelf.
Yes, and please, for the love of all, do not pay full price. Do not. Because they're trying to get $150 for this thing. And it's 20 issues, but I guarantee you, no matter where you get it from, you can probably get it for cheaper. Whether it be Amazon, whether it be DCBS, whether it be anywhere else, you're definitely going to get it cheaper than $150. Do not pay retail for this thing.
Listen to what the man says, folks.
And then the very next page, Inferno gets some hate from some people, but I love it for what it is. It was, in a lot of ways, the culmination of what Weezy and Claremont were doing with the X-Men at the time, whether it be New Mutants or main title X-Men or X-Factor and so on and so forth. And I really appreciated as a conclusion to the Madeline Pryor saga, even if she was done dirty at that time over at Marvel. But, Madeline's saga concludes here. In a lot of ways, X-Factor's first couple of sagas conclude, and it's some great storytelling and some gorgeous art. So if you have not read Inferno, this might be the time to do so.
Yep, Inferno falls right in what is probably my biggest blind spot in comics history, the very end of the 80s. Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff I don't know and have never read from that time, and Inferno's among it. I've read the couple issues of Excalibur that are included in this hardcover, number 6 and 7. But I think that's probably about it.
Yeah, I have a much older trade paperback of Inferno sitting on my shelf from probably, if not the early 2000s, then shortly before then, that I got at my old comic book shop, either at Bulletproof Comics or Bullpen Comics. But I've read that cover to cover at least twice, and I loved every minute of it.
Yep. I'll get there one of these days, but not with this hardcover edition.
Oh, of course not. Much cheaper ways to do it.
No, yeah. Let's see. What interesting things here. Page 98 is a trade of a recent miniseries called Ravencroft Institute for the Criminally Insane, which was introduced back in the 90s to be kind of, the Marvel Universe's version of Arkham. That's where the crazy Spider-Man villains get put. And it looked interesting, but I wasn't going to spring for it, mainly because Frank Thierry is writing it, and I know better. But facing that, though, is something that I definitely recommend. On page 99, Doctor Strange Surgeon Supreme, Volume 1. The 6 issues, the 6 and only, more's the pity, issues of this series, written by Mark Waid, art by Kev Walker, continuing Wade's treatment of the Sorcerer Supreme as he dips back into medicine, just kind of adopting his old secret identity, as it were, and helping people suffering from natural and supernatural ailments, as the good doctor. My favorite part of this volume is when Dr. Druid, who was, after all, the Marvel Universe historical precursor and sort of prototype for Doctor Strange. He shows up and becomes kind of like Doctor Strange's companion for a couple issues of this run. And the interplay between the two of them is kind of fun to see, just what Waid comes up with for the two of them to say to one another. So, yes, it's Mark Waid. And that's really all I needed to say about this. But,
sure. Yeah. Yeah, no, I've read a little bit of his Doctor Strange stuff. I've got a lot more to read of it, but I've loved every minute of it so far. Stuff I've read was mainly the space stuff.
Yes. When he loses his magic and has to go into outer space to find it again.
Yep. Mm-hmm. All right, I've got a couple more. 106. I've been meaning to read this, and I think I'm finally going to, whether it be in this trade or whether it just be digitally the next time there's a sale. But I've heard very positive things about the new X Factor. By Leah Williams. It's kind of like X Factor meets X-Men X Academy, or possibly even Wolverine and the X-Men with the cast, as you've got Northstar, Polaris, Prodigy, Eye-Boy, Daken, and Prestige as the initial cast here. And, it's nice to see Polaris in there for some continuity's sake of X Factor.
Oh, yeah.
But everybody else is new to the team. And I'm interested to see what their dynamic is going to be like. And Leah Williams is no slouch on the writing from what I've read of her stuff. So, yeah, this will be one of the X books, the supplemental X books that I'm going to try out for sure.
Yeah. It's art by David Baldion, whose work I've enjoyed on IDW's Micronauts stuff a few years ago, and that Domino series that Gail Simone did just a bit ago at Marvel.
Mm-hmm. absolutely.
Oh, I think that's about all I had to talk about in the trades.
Yeah, I think it's the same for me. Just let me do a quick run through here. I mean, if you do want to know more about U.S. Agent and old school U.S. Agent, the Gruenwald, Jerry Ordway, and Jim Novak U.S. Agent, The Good Fight, is being collected and solicited this month. So that's on page 112, and it's Gruenwald, so it has to be mentioned.
Oh, yes, I agree. But it should also be mentioned that this trade does collect several issues of Grunwald's Cap Run, but it doesn't include the U.S. Agent miniseries that he wrote in the early 90s. The cover by M.C. Wyman is actually artwork from that miniseries, but the miniseries is not in here.
That's weird. Yeah, that they chose to have a yeah, it's weird that they chose to have a U.S. Agent miniseries from 2001 in it, but not that one. Huh. Weird. Well, maybe they forgot to mention it.
Yeah, well, let's hope. Yeah.
Yep.
But that 2001 miniseries that's the Jerry Ordway content, and it was pretty good too.
Got it. Yep. Alrighty, back over to the previews catalog. Dynamite it is. Okay. There we go. And I have very little to say about Dynamite.
Yeah, me too, as usual. But we may as well mention on page 142 that Christopher Priest is beginning his second year of Vampirella with his 16th issue, which means that he actually managed to get out more than 12 issues in a single year.
Oh, wow. Good for him.
Mm-hmm. And good for us, too.
Yes, it is. Probably good for Chris.
I hope he's gotten around to reading a little of it by now.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a one to talk about anyone being behind in their reading, but I'd like to know if it meets his criteria as a Priest fan, if it's up to his standards.
Oh, sure, absolutely. All right. So I'm ready to go over to Boom.
All right, let's do it.
Okay. And I will start off with Mighty Morphin #1 on page 172. Who is the new Green Ranger? They just got me right there. I'm sorry. as a 90s nerd and as a fan of old school Power Rangers, I love that they are continuing the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for, old, if you want to call them Untold Tales or if you want to call it a side universe. But here we are with a whole new era of them, as Tommy's definitely there as the White Ranger. So So who the heck is this new Green? And we're just going to have to find that out. Ryan Parrott is the writer, and Marco Renna on art.
And I'm a little uneasy about how spiky the new Green Ranger's costume appears to be.
Yeah, I know. Kind of makes me wonder if perhaps the new Green Ranger is the evil Tommy from the previous Power Rangers stories that have been told. But I could be wrong, and I probably am.
Perhaps it's Bulk and/or Skull.
Oh, God. Yeah, I think there's more of a chance of it being Zordon than it is of being Bulk or Skull.
Yes, I am being facetious.
I knew. But then right underneath that is another Power Rangers series called Power Rangers #1. And this is, it says 2 new series, 2 new teams. The Unlimited Power begins here. And this is a new cosmic threat that only the original Power Rangers, now known as the Omega Rangers, Jason, Trini, and Zach, can hope to defeat. So it's a spin-off series, essentially, making them a whole set of Rangers that they never were in the originals. So go figure.
It appears to be Zord light and weapons heavy, if we can judge by the imagery here.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And again, Ryan Parrott on writing for this one, but this time the art is by Francesco Mortarino, and I love that cover.
It does catch the eye.
Mm-hmm. Won't mention it in full, but I will mention in passing. Issue 2 of Keanu Reeves' Berserker is out, and this series exists. Anyway.
Yes, this got made.
Yes, it did.
Anything further for Boom?
No. I mean, I could mention Klaus, The New Adventures of Santa Claus, but I think that's been mentioned before, as I think this is just a new printing of it.
Yeah, I don't think there's any new material to be found in here.
Yep. And yeah, I think I'm good with Boom.
All right, then.
Okay, onward to the rest of the book.
Yes. Chris mentioned the Marvel Value Stamps book by Roy Thomas on 202, as I knew he would.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Terry Moore's Ever the Way Out, as was mentioned.
Yeah. A few interesting new things coming out from Aftershock, in addition to the Red Atlantis series that Chris mentioned. On pages 210 and 211, Kaiju Score, which is basically a Tarantino-esque heist picture that happens to be taking place right in the middle of a Godzilla movie. It's a pretty cool high concept, I must say.
Sure.
And then on the following pages, 212 and 213, Miskatonic, which appears to be kind of a suspense procedural thing with a decidedly Lovecraftian bent. Yep, it's about... It's a period piece. I can't quite make out here if it's set during the 50s or the 20s or maybe a little of each, but it's a combination of Cold War politics and elder gods. And it sounds like an interesting combo, actually. Written by Mark Sable, art by Giorgio Pontrelli.
Yeah, no, it does look pretty interesting, and it does look pretty spiffy on the art as well.
Mm-hmm, yes, it does.
All right, I got something on 222. Peter Milligan's got a new series, Happy Hour #1, coming out of Ahoy from the looks of it. And
yes.
Yep, in future America, being happy isn't just a right, it's the law. While the Joy Police brutally enforce the Cheery Code, two young people go on the run searching for a haven of melancholy where they can safely bask in the blues.
Yes, I'm responding rather strongly to this concept, actually.
Yeah.
A person who's got a pretty strong reservoir of negativity within himself. Yeah, I think I'm perceiving the timeliness of the concept, and I think I'd like to give it a read.
If this book wasn't called Happy Hour, I would call it Harumph. I think that would be another good name for it.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, and Peter Milligan in general has a very good pedigree to his name, so well worth the look.
Yes, indeed. So another potential winner from Ahoy Comics.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and while we're talking about Ahoy Comics, I'm noticing under Edgar Allan Poe's Snifter of Blood, Volume 2, Number 2, there's a story by Devin Grayson in here. Her riff on Poe trying to explain the Cask of Amontillado to a group of famous writers who aren't impressed. But more importantly, Mark Russell, master satirist that he is of the Flintstones and Second Coming and a variety of other things, with artist Peter Snyberg of Starman. Oh, wow. They're doing another in a series of serial monster stories. Lucky the Leprechaun Invades Castle Chocula. By Mark Russell and Peter Snyberg.
So that is a win.
I can't resist that, Ian. I don't think could possibly not buy this. And now I've been told that this is another in a series. I'm going to have to go back and track down the others in said series.
Outstanding. Oh, my God. Clearly they created this just for you.
It feels that way, Ian. But it's a little bit eerie, in fact.
Little do you know, it's by Murd Comics.
I must send those nice people a thank you note.
Yeah, right? Yeah. If they have a letters page, clearly your letter needs to be in it.
All right, I'll begin drafting it now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I see something of interest at the bottom of page 232 from Avery Hill Publishing. This is just it's a black and white independent original graphic novel. It's called Breakwater by Catriona Chapman, and it's about a girl named Chris who is a self-described loner and introvert who works at a little movie theater in a rundown seaside town. So, that's already a couple of points of identification for me. One, loner introvert. Two, working in a seaside town. She forms a relationship with a coworker and starts to come out of her shell a little bit, but then she learns something about said coworker that causes her to reassess and question whether she shouldn't be withdrawing back into her shell again, whether that's not the way her life should be lived after all. So for the setting and the concept, I think I may be purchasing this one.
Very cool.
Very relatable for me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yet again, another book that was made just for Murd.
Yeah, I know. It's
so going from that to Everything Will Be Okay, all the way down on page 248. We've got Matthew Wilson as the writer, and and Rodrigo Vargas and various others on the art. It's described as Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy meets Armageddon. What if every possible disaster happened at once? Would you seek refuge in space, travel to another dimension, or perhaps take your chances with whatever life comes next? And what if those weren't so great either? It's absurdist sci-fi, it sounds like, and that is definitely my wheelhouse.
Yeah, looks like it's a collection of what had been a 5-issue miniseries.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this is the same Matthew Wilson, the colorist, or a different Matthew Wilson?
That's a very good question, because the name sounded familiar to me in that aspect, so it's possible it is, unless there's another Matthew Wilson in comics.
No, it seems like a common name.
Yeah.
I noticed on the front cover, the writer's credited as Matt D. Wilson, so maybe it's to differentiate himself from the colorist.
That is a possibility. There's some more DC Super Pets being solicited on the very next page on 249. We've got Cave of Kryptonite, Ice Cream Caper, Crime Fighting Cat, and Trouble on Paradise Island. And they're all Alt Baltazar art and written by Steve Corte.
Yes, I am a sucker for this Super Pet stuff.
Heck yeah.
Heck, Crime Fighting Cat looks like it's even got a Mixius Pitlick appearance. Better yet.
Even better. Got a whole bunch of political books being solicited for November. I am not surprised, as timing is everything.
On page 256, something of some interest to Star Wars fans, IMC-3PO, The Inside Story, a memoir by Anthony Daniels, who played 3PO.
Nice.
I'm not sure if this is the original edition of this, but it's being offered here. Not available in England and Ireland, it says. Curious. Yeah, so it's a deeply personal memoir by Tony Daniels. Forward by J.J. Abrams.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I don't know if this is the first time it's been out either, but either way, and I believe this is written word and not a comic.
It's prose, definitely.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because it said biography next to it. And there is another, speaking of Star Wars, one page up, on page 255, Del Rey is putting out Star Wars from a Certain Point of View, The Empire Strikes Back hardcover, written by a whole bunch of different people. On May 21st, 1980, Star Wars became true saga with the release of The Empire Strikes Back. In honor of the 40th anniversary, 40 storytellers recreate an iconic scene from The Empire Strikes Back through the eyes of its supporting characters, from heroes and villains to droids and creatures. From a Certain Point of View features contributions by best-selling authors and trend-setting artists.
Yeah, I'm squinting at the front cover to see if there are any I recognize. Greg Rucka and Matt Fraction and Paul Dini, to name but a few.
Yep, I'm bringing up the actual listing for it on Amazon because I got to see things better than that. And let's see, we have
Will Wheaton.
Hugh Wheaton. Never heard of him. Oh yeah. We've got Ben Acker. We've got Ben Blacker, obviously. Jeffrey Brown. We've got, let's see, some other names that you might find familiar. Paul Dini, Kelly Sue DeConnick, Matt Fraction, Kieran Gillen, Claudia Gray, Hugh Wheaton, as previously mentioned, Chuck Wendig, Elizabeth Ween, Charles Soule, Greg Rucka, Madeline Rue, and a whole bunch of others. And Griffin McElroy as well. The McElroy brothers has a story in this. So yeah, some good talent to work with.
And how?
Mm-hmm. What else we got for kids? We got a featured item on page 267 by Jimmy Gownley. It's called 7 Good Reasons Not to Grow Up. And it's all about the students at an exclusive academy known as Greycliff Academy. And Kirby is the star, who has brains and a lucky streak that won't quit. And he's also notoriously masterminded snarky videos, 7 Good Reasons Not to Grow Up, which expose how being a kid isn't all it's cracked up to be. So that is 100% made for the Scholastic crowd, which is good because Scholastic made it.
Yes, that works out well.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and it's a laudable title.
Oh, yeah.
On page 280, under Mordom Comics, somebody's actually making new Yellow Kid comics.
Oh, wow.
One of the oldest recurring characters in the medium, going all the way back to 1895. Yeah, no telling exactly what. I don't know how many of the old Richard Outcault comics are going to be reprinted here, but there's definitely original material in here as well.
I'm assuming it's public domain.
Well, I would think by now, yeah.
Yeah. On 281, this seems pretty cool. Ghetto Brother from Warrior to Peacemaker. It's a graphic novel that tells the true story of Benji Melendez, a Bronx legend, son of Puerto Rican immigrants, who founded at the end of the 1950s the notorious Ghetto Brothers gang. So it's not a biographical graphic novel written by Julian Village and Claudia Athering on art. I think I know a certain someone who's going to want to read that.
And who is that certain someone?
That would be the one in the other room over there. My Puerto Rican girlfriend. I think will very much want to read the story about the guy from the Bronx who's Puerto Rican. as I sit here in the Bronx.
Wow, yeah, it's a bit of local history from the looks of it.
Yes, it is.
Oh, look. Melendez also began to reclaim his Jewish roots after learning about his family's dramatic crypto-Jewish background.
It's got both in one, man. It's got both in one.
Can be on your blended bookshelf.
Indeed. It slices and it dices.
Right, I can't help but mention it. On page 296, Paper Cuts is publishing volume 11 of their original Loud House comics.
Nice.
Gotta bring it up every time. Apparently, it's doing well because they're up to the 11th one of these things.
Yep. Yeah,
Someone other than me is buying them.
I have watched a little bit of it, by the way, and it is incredibly cute.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's good, funny fun.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
It's especially in the first season or two. It's founded on good, like, classic comic strip values.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I'm glad that the Owl House, although I know it's not your cup of tea, just concluded its first season, and it did it with a whammy. So glad to see it's continuing on for future seasons.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't I see it was nominated for a GLAAD award or something?
I think you might be right about that. Yeah, especially with the bisexual romance that's going on in its episodes.
Right, it's between Luz and somebody.
Yeah, one of the other people who goes to the academy.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Eventually, we go from just Luz to her meeting a whole bunch of friends, and then her going to a magic academy. So it's kind of got almost like a Hogwarts vibe to it, only way sillier.
Silly is good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why this is appealing to me, but at the bottom of page 302, this is Scout Comics. It's a one-shot crossing over Gut Ghost and Stabbity Bunny. These are characters that existed before this one-shot, too. So it's about a stuffed animal with a knife and a ghost with its guts hanging out, and they're just kind of hanging out in a rundown, graffitied old bus stop kiosk. It looks like it's got kind of an Aqua Teen Hunger Force vibe to it. It's an epic adventure involving a broken television. It's just odd and random and downbeat enough. I might actually put that on my DCBS card.
Clearly destined for Adult Swim.
It's option now.
Yep. And I don't know if you heard the news, but unfortunately, there will be no more Venture Brothers as of now.
Yes, I've been meaning to mention that to you, actually. Are they going to... Are Public and Hammer going to try and take that elsewhere? Do you think they're going to try and make a season 8 for a streaming platform of some kind? Or is it just...
Yeah, they're negotiating right now, apparently, with HBO Max, since that is, the parallel medium with Cartoon Network being owned by them and all that. So it may very well go that way. They just have to negotiate budget and time frame. Because as you well know, it took them 16 years to do 7 seasons.
Yes. Yes. Does the cancellation of the show have anything to do with that, or does Adult Swim have other reasons?
I think it may actually have a little bit to do with that, plus, unfortunately, pandemic and budget. Because I think some cuts needed to be made, and I'm sure they looked at a series that had no definitive start time and said, can we really devote to that right now? Which, again, I totally understand from a marketing standpoint and also from, a behind-the-scenes standpoint, but I would have loved to have at least seen them give them one more season just to wrap things up.
Yeah. Yes, that is indeed unfortunate.
Yeah. So stay tuned. I will definitely give you further information if I do hear it gets picked up by somebody.
No, much obliged, Ian.
All right. Did Chris get time to mention tomorrow's?
He did mention Mac issue number 124, which is the horror hero issue with that excellent Rudy Nebres Man-Thing cover, and I will also be buying a copy of that.
Well, then I'll point out Alter Ego 167, as it's a salute to Sid Shore's Golden Age artist of Captain America, the All-Winter Squad, Black Rider, Human Torch, The Vision, Black Knight, and Silver Age artist of Red Wolf, Frankenstein. The list goes on and on. I am not that familiar with his art, but I'd love to learn more, and this is a way to do that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and in the back pages, we've got a profile on Chinese-American comics creator Chu Hing, who created the little-known 40s comic hero Green Turtle, who is acknowledged as being kind of surreptitiously the first Asian-American superhero. He was the subject of The Shadow Hero, the OGN by Jean Wen Yang.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I knew it sounded familiar.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so you can learn more about him if you pick up this issue also.
Very nice.
On the very next page, on page 322, under Uncivilized Comics, for you Craig Thompson fans out there, Craig Thompson has been kind of quietly working on another autobiographical project called Ginseng Roots, about his childhood as a poor kid growing up in Wisconsin, earning extra money by working on ginseng farms, which funded his comic book habit. And issue number 7 of that is coming out. And there's also what appears to be a box set of the first 6 issues for a mere $6. Unless that's a misprint, as it very well may be, because if you look at issue number 7's solicitation, it's 6 issues just for that one issue. So it's indeed a fantastic deal if you can get all 6 prior issues for like $1 a piece.
Oh, sure.
So we'll just see what that costs on at DCBS.
Yep.
But it's something to consider, and I've been curious about this project, and I was just kind of waiting for some kind of a trade or collection, and if I can indeed get the first 6 issues for $1 a piece, I'm jumping on that.
What was the title again?
Ginseng Roots.
Ginseng Roots. Let's see. I happen to be on their website right now, so might as well
Oh,
see.
convenient.
Let's see what happens if I put in Ginseng Roots and search it. It is indeed that cheap.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. You can get it for $6.
I am on that.
Yep. DCBS currently has a 30% discount on it, so you'll probably find similar discounts elsewhere as well.
Right.
Yep. I guess they're doing a similar model to what I like to say about Image, where they want to get you in the door with that first volume, so you can read more after that.
Mm-hmm. It's a good loss leader strategy.
Indeed. All right. Nothing from Vault this month.
Well, actually, there's one thing I'd mention.
Go ahead.
If you look at page 334, there's a new project out from Paul Cornell.
Yeah, I almost missed it. Thank you for pointing it out.
Yep, that's why we do this, Ian. It's called I Walk with Monsters, written by Paul Cornell, art by Sally Cantarino, and it's about a young lady whose brother was abducted by a possibly supernatural figure called the Important Man. And as an adult, this young lady has partnered with a lycanthrope named David, and they go around sniffing out, protecting young people from threats both supernatural and all too mundane and everyday. So sometimes they have to fight monsters, sometimes they just have to fight your basic molesters and murderers. So it seems like an interesting concept. And, of course, that important man who stole away the main character's brother has to rear his ugly head again. Like right off the bat here in the first issue.
Yep.
So, new project by Paul Cornell is the bottom line.
Oh, yeah. I will always be a fan of his Captain Britain and MI-13. That was, and the Wisdom miniseries for that matter, both of which were such terrific comics of the mid-2000s.
Wrote a couple of good stories for DC, too, there for a while.
Yes, he did. Yep.
And I'll be getting to those in about 4 years.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
Almost ready for manga, but I'll see if anything else catches my eye before then. I do not believe it's going to.
Okay. Let's head east.
Let's see what we got. Okay. So Kodansha does me a favor every month by actually listing what the new releases are. And we've got a brand new manga here on page 346 called Mashima Heroes by Hiro Mashima, of all people. A delightful gift to every Hiro Mashima fan. Discover Heroes, the ultimate crossover, the new manga that brings together characters from the Hiro Mashima universe, including Fairy Tail, Rave Master, and Eden Zero. This is it. Mashima's victory lap. Don't miss it. So I love a good crossover, and when you give me a good crossover that happens to be a manga crossover, well, I'm in.
Have you read any of these properties before?
I've read a little bit of Fairy Tail, and I did really enjoy it. I haven't read any of the other ones, but I've heard very positive things specifically about Rave Master. So this may be a good way to get a little bit of everything.
Absolutely. This is your sampler.
Mm-hmm. Heck yeah. Go past Tokyo Pop and all their Disney shenanigans. Fewer Disney titles this month than usual from Tokyo Pop, but they're still there. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, God. They actually have as their slogan now at Tokyo Pop. I don't know how I feel about this. Our comeback will be bigger than our setback.
Huh.
That's, I don't know about that. knowing some of the behind the scenes of Tokyo Pop and why they almost died in the first place, like I don't know about that.
Yeah.
but I mean, you could try. That's fine.
It's good to have goals, I suppose.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know the behind the scenes details to which you prefer, but it's just kind of trite. It's not a very creative slogan.
Yeah.
Whether it's accurate or not.
To just give some general details on Tokyo Pop, I may have mentioned it on the show before, but they were very exploitive of their creators when it came to their American manga, or Amerimanga, if you want to use that bastardized term. But they claim to own the rights on comics that should have been creator owned, and they kept a lot of the money on stuff that they weren't supposed to, and at the same time also made a bunch of like silly, crazy deals that wound up biting them in the butt, and that's why they went bankrupt at one point and are now trying to build themselves back as a company.
Yep, sounds like a little bit more than just a setback, honestly.
Yeah, to say the least. All right, I know Shane mentioned the Star Wars Rebels earlier, but you know what? I'll go ahead and mention on the very next page, on page 371, Slasher Maidens by Tetsuya Toshiro. And it's about around the world, a phenomenon is observed where those whose mental stress reaches a peak transform into monsters called kaijin and succumb murderous impulses. Such supernatural events were completely unrelated to proud pervert Asuma Sudo, but after he transfers to an all-girls school, while chasing the girl of his dreams, he discovers that the school was actually a front for an all-kaijin special agency. So that's a thing. It's
released.
Oh yeah, it's got madness. It's got perversion. It's everything you could possibly want and more right there.
Yep, it's set at least partly in an all-girls school. So it's something for a lot of tastes.
Exactly. Yep. And then I've got one more that I'll throw out there on page 376. I'll bring up I Wish I Could Say Thank You. It's by Yakuri Takanami, and it's about Yukari. So I might be a little bit autobiographical here. Had long struggled in a chaotic love-hate relationship with her mother, Cheiko. So when her mother is diagnosed with advanced stage pancreatic cancer with just months to live, she is faced with a difficult decision. Takanami honestly recounts the turmoil created by this announcement from her sister, now without ever descending into pathos. So that does sound very, very heartwarming and slice of life, and I like that occasionally.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's 99% certain that this is going to be autobiographical.
Oh, definitely. Yep. I think that's pretty much my bolt shot.
Okay. Well, let me throw one more onto the pile here. Then on page 380, there's a third volume of My Little Pony manga coming out, and I'm just pleased as punch.
But of course, as well you should be. You know what? Screw it. One more. 381. The Sorcerer King of Destruction and the Golem of the Barbarian Queen. Because what a title, and I love pointing out titles that are so Japanese they hurt. And that's exactly what that book is. I could describe it, but you know what? I feel like the title itself did enough of a description that I'm just going to let you look at it yourself on page 381.
Right. Yep, Japanese titles do very often stand alone, don't they?
Exactly. All right, that's it for me.
All right. And I guess our bolts are respectively shot.
Mm-hmm. Excellent, since I don't think I have any toys to look at, so That is
yeah,
that.
I almost never do myself.
Mm-hmm. Okie dokie. Well, thank you guys for sticking with us. I think we had a pretty good run through a previews catalog, as always. And as always, I will throw big thanks out there to anyone who has been donating to the show of late. We continue to get small donations from people, and that's all we need to make us happy any day of the week. You keep the show running, and you keep the lights on. So thank you very, very much to anybody who does that. And if you do want to donate to the show, you can do so over at comicgeekspeak.com/donate.php. And please feel no obligation whatsoever to do so. Just if you can, it'd be super.
Right. Our needs are not desperate, but anything that you do give is indeed appreciated. It just keeps it keeps us in our studio for that much longer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not able to use it very much lately owing to the pandemic and other factors, but still, it's a good thing to have.
But Skype works again. Yay!
Hooray! Yes. All hail Pence.
Yes, indeed. Alrighty, I think that's it. So you now take the role of Shane.
All right, I'm ready to Shane us out of here.
Okay, let's do it.
If you'd like to send us an email, the address is comicgeekspeak@gmail.com. If you'd like to leave a voicemail, you can call 267-702-6642. That still works. You can like us on Facebook, and you can also join our Comic Geek Speak supergroup there, which is kind of like our own little mini forum in the realm of Facebook. If you'd like to follow us on Twitter, our handle is @ComicGeekSpeak. You can go to thecomicforums.vanillacommunity.com, which is our tried and true old forum presence where you can leave feedback about this and many other episodes of the podcast, and also join in conversations on a variety of geeky topics with your fellow CGS listeners. We would like, as Ian mentioned earlier, to give special thanks to those of you who have supported the show monetarily, either recently or in the distant past. We really appreciate it. The show would not be what it is today without your help. And as always, we are uniting the world's mightiest heroes, one listener at a time.